Hello and welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme,
And I'm Nell.
and today we are going to be talking about Wicked.
Yeah.
You know how we said it funny when we were talking about Ben Platt and his famous
Yeah,
Addicted to Wicked Facebook post? I think it was
yeah,
Facebook.
for sure it
Now,
was.
whenever I say Wicked, I say it like that. I say Wicked.
Yeah.
So much more fun. But first, let's do some news.
Oh, I was just gonna say big news for us two personally this week. A few pieces of big news.
Yeah, there's a few things that have happened this week that's been quite personal.
Number one, I saw Phantom of the Opera from the front row on Halloween.
So waiting for you to bring
And
that
it's
up.
incredible. Me and Esme went to start this recording literally an hour ago,
Yep.
and I've just been yapping on about all the things I noticed from the front row.
No, it's actually very interesting. I've learned a lot about Phantom of the
We
Opera.
should go and see Phantom from the front row.
Mm-mm.
It's like, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I've always held the thought that I don't like seeing shows more than once. I've definitely talked about this.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it gets worse each time you see it.
Yes.
I did not feel that way with Phantom.
Interesting.
I think the second time I saw Phantom, I did like it less, but that's because we were in shit seats. No
Yeah.
offense.
No, not taken.
Um,
They were the cheapest seats available.
yeah, but I saw it from the front row and I was like, my God, I fucking love this show.
Yeah. Some of the big personal news.
We had to do some maths to
We
figure
did some
out
math.
that Esme owed me £4, which
we are,
she's just sent over to me.
we are now the
Because we bought
proud owners of both Nerdy Prudes Must Die and Working Boys.
a new musical.
A new musical. Also, another piece of massive personal news is the Dance Moms reunion is happening.
This is big for us.
I worked out that I've been ingesting Dance Moms media for the last 10 years of my life this week,
It's fucking crazy.
which I feel like explains a lot about who I am as a person. Some more theatre-based news though. Aaron Tveit and Sutton Foster are Mrs. Lovett and Sweetie.
I cannot wait to hear Aaron Tveit as Sweeney Todd.
I'm so excited for the opt-up
Wow.
at the end of Joanna.
I know that it was a joke. Like, I fully understand it was a joke. But I saw once Aaron Tveit starts in Sweeney Todd, the Sweeney Todd curtain call should include confetti because
So
they liked how he interacted with the confetti in Moulin Rouge.
yeah, I feel I am trying to understand the Moulin Rouge girlies, but I don't know if I can.
I just don't like Moulin Rouge.
I don't understand why there's a girl who sits around on TikTok and reviews the Roxanne performances from around the world every night.
Yeah, like I get it to an extent. Like I'm sure it is a good show. It's just not for me.
It's not for me, and I respect that girl, but I
Oh
also have
yeah,
questions for her.
yeah.
I'm just curious. Um, Adam's family?
Six.
Adam's
Oh, I
family
was
is
gonna say six.
coming to the West End for 3 nights at the Palladium with
Ramen Kareem.
yeah.
I've actually no idea how you say his name. I've just been guessing. Apologies to him.
We're a massive fan of your work.
As I'm sure he's an avid listener.
Yeah.
Apologies.
We're massive fans of your work. Genuinely massive
Yeah.
fans of your work. Oh yeah, 6.
Yeah. So they just announced a whole new cast basically.
Yes. And
So new queens and new ultimates. Even more recently, they just announced that they're cutting from 9 shows a week to 8 shows a
yeah.
week.
I didn't know that they were doing 9. I assumed it was 8.
But the reason they did 9 is because the alternates had guaranteed performances every week.
Yes, and I enjoy that.
So it like I don't want to say main,
Principal, yes.
the principal performers were basically doing 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
And then they have what, 3 alternates? Maybe more, maybe
I
less.
think at the moment it's more. And one of the big things about why everyone's paying a lot more attention to the 6 alternates is because Hannah Lowther is currently a 6 alternate. Not the right time to be calling a lot of attention to it, my friends.
And I saw someone else mention that them cutting down the shows and cutting down the guaranteed performances for alternates means, and this really sucks because we specifically talked about this when we were talking about 6, is that it might be the end of the alternate costumes.
It is the end of the alternate costumes.
They said it might be.
No, I think someone like DM'd 6 and were like, "Are the alternate costumes still a thing?" And they were like, "No," It could be a false DM, but weird thing for someone to
My thought
falsify.
is if you'd already hired someone else was saying, do you think that the people they just hired knew about this change?
They
And
did.
the answer was probably not.
No, they did. Hannah
I
Lava
saw.
said that she spoke about it. I saw on TikTok today. She was like,
Okay.
"Oh, when we signed the contract, we knew that we weren't getting any guaranteed shows."
And it does suck because I think the alternates and the difference that the alternates made to the performance, like for their costume, for example, was a big part of Six, and it was really fun.
It was a big part of the culture around Six as well, and it made
Yeah.
a lot of money for the show. So I don't get why they're changing it.
I guess it could be hard to employ a ton of like extra people who aren't going to perform all the time.
Not the same amount of people that they're employing.
Like I'm trying to justify, but I don't. There's definitely a justification. Like there's definitely a reason they've done it.
Yeah, 100%.
I just don't understand what the hell it is.
No,
There are a ton of fireworks going off right now.
I
We're recording this like 2 days before bonfire night.
yeah. Which, if you don't know, someone tried to blow up our Houses of Parliament, and now we set off fireworks in their honor. England's a very rural
I
country.
saw people getting into a fight about this because someone said that we celebrate bonfire night to celebrate the king's survival.
Is that
And
why we
someone
do
else was
it?
like, no, we said okay. My thought is
Certainly like it a lot
from a
less if we're
legal
celebrating the king's survival.
I think from a legal standpoint, and the reason the whole holiday was created was to celebrate the king's survival. That makes
Yes.
sense. And that's why you burn like effigies of Guy Fawkes.
Yeah.
You know, that makes sense.
Remember the 5th of November.
Yeah, like the whole point is being like, hey, don't commit treason against the king. However, colloquially, and like what we actually think when we're celebrating, it's definitely a celebration that someone tried, which is quite funny.
Again, UK Parliament, we are joking. Rishi, we are joking.
It's a Boris.
I said Boris, I was like, what prime minister
Has
are we
been
on?
God, I cannot wait for Rishi to fucking get out of office.
I'm so
Anyways,
excited for
back
us
to
not.
musicals.
Anyway, away from politics and back to me. Guys, if you've listened to any of our recent episodes, you will know that I have been on a quest. I've been on a journey to stop
yeah.
any Great Gatsby bootlegs from being distributed or happening by obviously receiving and viewing one. My quest has been fulfilled.
Anyone who sent Esme
No one
a
sent
Great
it to
Gatsby
me.
bootleg has been reported.
It fell into my lap and it has been reported, and I have vehemently like disapproved of it. No one checked my phone.
Of course.
Obviously. In the same way that no one should check Nell's computer for Beetlejuice bootlegs.
Hey, all you will find on my computer right now is legally bought and downloaded StarKid albums.
Yes, we support StarKid legally.
I love StarKid. Never bootleg StarKid.
We bootleg StarKid. All jokes aside. Anyway, let's get into Wicked, shall we?
Wicked.
My grandma, this is kind of related. My grandma sends me cards every couple of weeks at university, and they normally have some kind of musical on them. And this week, because it was Halloween, it has Wicked.
Oh my god.
So, Wicked is a musical of music and lyrics by Stephen Schwartz, a book by Winnie Holzman, and it is based on a novel with the same name by Gregory Maguire. So, Wicked, book by Gregory Maguire, was released in 1995 and is based in the world of Oz, which is The Wizard of Oz by Frank Barnum in the original story. There are 4 main books in this series and a prologue type thing, but the musical's only based on the first book. From what I can tell, the book is kind of batshit.
Anyways, I know that Nessa doesn't have arms in the book, which is kind of batshit.
Yeah, Elphaba has a child as well.
Yeah.
And then I think she dies at the end for reals.
I'm so glad we're doing this after the... Apparently it wasn't ever trending and there were like 100 videos max. But the clip of... Oh god, I've forgotten her name. Singing... Yeah, singing Goodness Knows.
The musical came about when Stephen Schwartz was snorkeling in Maui in 1996, and a friend and folk singer, Holly Near, told him to read the book. It's piqued his interest since he has always had a fascination with retelling a familiar story from a different point of view. It keyed into several themes that interest me. The idea of an outsider and the notion that things in life may be more complicated than we think of them. The story that relates to complex girlhood, to grown-up friends, the Wicked Witch, and the Good Witch Glinda couldn't have been more inviting. I knew I had to do it, says Swartz. I knew it had to be a stage musical. Swartz acted fast to pin down the rights to the Maguire novel. As soon as he got home from Hawaii, he phoned his lawyer and found out that Universal controlled the property and planned to develop a live-action feature film. A Wicked movie! We're not talking about the Wicked movie in this episode because it is its own beast at this point and the movie is not even fucking out. It's not even finished filming.
It's horrific.
All I have to say on it is Cynthia Erivo is going to be good. I have no idea what Ariana is going to sound like, and at one point Ryan Murphy was supposed to write the script.
It's a whole mess.
I would die to know what Ryan Murphy's take on Wicked is. Anyway, so Swartz made an impassioned plea to Universal's Mark Platt.
Yes!
Father of Ben Platt. For Wicked
Father of the Ben Platt.
The Ben Platt.
And theatre camp.
We love theatre camp. I hate Ben Platt. Actually, that's a joke. Ben, if you're listening, hit us up.
Ben, I love you, Ben.
I hate you, David Hanson loves theatre camp.
Any Wicked bootlegs you want to share?
Platt not only was persuaded, but also signed on to be a joint producer as well as the project with Universal, for which he no longer works, and David Stone. Swartz's luck continued by asking TV writer Holzman, who had done 2 TV shows before this, if she was interested in writing the book. Swartz believed a female librettist was essential for telling a story about a long female friendship. Holzman turned out had already inquired about the Wicked rights and backed off, learning that Universal had locked up. It seemed like a good sign, Swartz said. Swartz and Willie Holzman would work on the musical for the next 2 years, having periodic meetings with Mark Platt. They worked out the structural outline of the show, spinning an original stage piece rather than a strict adaptation of Maguire's work. As we said, the books are weird.
Yeah.
The musical was developed and tested for a series of readings. New York producer David Stone joined the team in early 2000s after watching a reading at Universal Studios featuring Christian Chenoweth as Glinda. He then began to draw in the practical elements necessary for a full show on Broadway. Also, I don't have it written down here, but Stephanie J. Block was the original Elphaba in these readings.
She then went back to the role, didn't she?
Yeah, so basically she got Boy from Oz around the same time.
That would make sense.
And then she came back to it. Joe Mantello came in as the director, and the team began auditioning designers in April of 2023. April of 2003, the original Broadway cast assembled for a final rehearsal. Yeah, so some of the plot changes that are very important are Fiero's appearance as the Scarecrow, Elphaba's survival at the end, Nessa Rose being in a wheelchair instead of being born without arms, as Nell said, Bock having a continuing love interest for Glinda and then eventually becoming the Tin Man instead of Nick Chopper. No idea who that is. Cutting Elphaba's years in Vincus. Don't even know what Vincus is. The deletion of Illick's birth, who I think is Elphaba's son. Fiero not having a wife or children, Dr. Dillerman being fired instead of murdered, and Madame Morrible going to prison instead of dying.
A lot happened in this book.
Am I going to read it? No. It would play its out-of-town tryout in San Francisco with Christian Chenoweth and Idina Menzel starring as Glinda and Elphaba, with further casting being Robert Morse as the Wizard, Carol Shirley as Madame Morrible, Norbert Leo Butts as Fiero, Michelle Thaler as Nessa Rose, and it would run for a month there. The initial reviews were not positive for Wicked.
I feel like I've heard this.
Yeah. So Variety said, just for its Sam found one, which was quite different, a certain page-to-screen shrinkage of the ideas were inevitable, but Winnie Holzman's book and Stephen Schwartz's score too often flattened out the source material in a cliched, crowd-pleasing ways, creating heavy, padded parable about intolerance and hypocrisy that takes itself far too seriously, without any of the sophistication that allowed Into the Woods an obvious comparison point to juggle fairy tale growing up satire and character poignancy. Gluey, banal, sentiment art reaches artery choking levels several times here. More wit and whimsy is called for. Whether Wicked can achieve the sharper, more streamlined tone, not to mention a running time before braving Gotham, is a good question indeed. For the problem lies less in the production. Sleekly directed by Joe Mantello, Stasley designed, for the most part, smartly cast, then a mediocre book, tiny lyrics, and largely generic music. So Variety were not fans of the original Wicked. The San Fran Exclaimer said, with a $40 million budget, the cast packed with Rufus' talents, Wicked is a wonderful debut play that is certainly going to leave audiences spellbound for years to come. The leading ladies play a phenomenal, enjoying it on stage chemistry that is truly captivating. The script is impeccable, managing to tell a story that, despite all of its familiarity, is still filled with plot lines that keep you guessing, and that the dialogue is perfectly trimmed and loaded with wit. Whilst the musical's score isn't groundbreaking, songs like Popular and Defying Gravity are quite accomplished. The singing is superb, while the choreography is fresh and fun. Packed with momentum, Wicked rarely slows down its pace, with the first act running 90 minutes. But all of that breakneck speed feels like it's at halftime. The supporting ensemble is as strong as it leads, donning elaborate costumes that looks like out of the pages of Dr. Seuss's book come to life. See this show before it blows out of town like a true Midwestern twister. Two very different reviews of this show.
Yeah.
And it feels like the last one is more like a review that someone would write nowadays of Wicked.
Yeah.
Before it would go to Broadway, there would be extensive changes made to the show, with Stephen Swartz wisely insisting on 3 months to rewrite between San Fran and rehearsals starting in New York. It made the biggest difference to the show and what it became. Wicked would start previews on the 8th of October 2003 at the Gershwin Theatre, with opening night taking place on the 30th of October 2003.
Oh my god, we just had its 20-year anniversary.
I wonder if that's why we're doing the episode.
Maybe. It's almost like we plan these things.
Yeah, it's almost like we think about them.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, we
occasionally.
Occasionally we put a tiny bit of thought into like what days episodes go out on. I'm actually kind of glad that we didn't put this out on the exact day of the 20th anniversary.
I feel like more has happened. I'd rather have done it like this week, like afterwards, so we can talk about what did happen on the 20th anniversary.
Because stuff went down. The reviews, New Yorker said, this musical, directed by Joe Mantello, tells the backstory of the Wizard of Oz, how the lion got cowardly, how the scarecrow got stuffed, and how the Tin Man got forward, but most specifically, how the witch got wicked. Based on the clever novel by Gregory Maguire, the musical is an exercise in high camp, a universe turned topsy-turvy, where good is bad, normal is abnormal, and the purest
well yields the sourest water.
The Wizard of Oz is dedicated to hope. Wicked is dedicated to irony. The Wicked Witch, Elphaba, played by the excellent Idina Menzel, turns out to be good, whilst Glinda the Good Witch, played by Christian Chenoweth, exposed as a smug, ambitious, manipulative bitch with a...
Wow.
That's a loaded statement. Calling Glinda a bitch.
Glinda is not a bitch.
I have a rant to go on when it's time for thoughts. With little talent for sorcery. That is the only part they got right. Glinda's not very good at magic.
Yeah.
Winnie Holzman wrote a crisp book that seems to have more fun with the project than most of her collaborators. She invented a handful of malaplomerisms, like words. So like Oz has its own vernacular.
That's yeah.
What I'm trying to say. To send up the scrumptious Glinda, borrowed some of the film's classic lines for good comedic effect. The 22 songs are written by Stephen Swartz, and not one of them is memorable.
Wow.
I think the modern Broadway canon would disagree with you, my dude.
Yeah, I can remember a few.
I think that they might be some of the most recognizable musical theatre songs, possibly of all time.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, who's to say?
Who's to say? You, the New Yorker? The New York Times by Ben Bradley. Wicked, on the other hand, wears its political heart as if it were a slogan button. This is true not only of the dialogue, but most of Mr. Swartz's score, which have that to the barricade sounds of the ominously unclad sound of ominously underscored anthems of labours, through the talk fashioned with cruel, cutesy, bungled words, bring in the language of Smurfs. There is a rock-hard lecture beneath the preciousness. Mr. Montello reconciles the gap between form and content only in Mrs. Chenoweth's performance. I was so pleased out whenever Glinda was on stage that I never felt like I was wasting time at Wicked. I kept smiling in anticipation for her return whenever she wasn't around. The talented Miss Menzel will no doubt dazzle audience members whose tastes run close to the soft rock stations. But aficionados in American musical theatre, it's Mrs. Chenoweth whose real thing, meddling decades of performing transitions into something traditions is into something shiny and new. Wicked does not, alas, speak to the future of Broadway, but Mrs. Chenoweth, on the other hand, definitely does.
Wow.
I wonder how Ben Bradley feels about Wicked now.
I hope he's still enjoying it.
That's just like an excerpt of the article of his review. He genuinely spent the entire time talking about Christian Chenoweth.
I mean, who can blame him, really?
Who can blame him? But it was kind of like you're supposed to be reviewing the whole thing, not just talking about Christian Chenoweth. Like, if you want a Christian Chenoweth column, go ahead. This is not the time. Right. Synopsis time.
Long before Dorothy arrives in Oz, there is another young woman born with emerald green skin, smart, fiery, misunderstood, and possessing an extraordinary talent. When she meets a bubbly blonde who is exceptionally popular, their initial rivalry turns into the unlikeliest of friendships, until the world decides to call one good and the other one wicked. Good synopsis, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well written.
For once, it's like not half the plot, something completely random.
Yeah, you kind of get the whole concept of it.
Because
And now you want to go see it.
the main thing, and what Wicked has always very smartly done, is this is a story of friendship.
Yeah, I think it does very well. But hey, this is about the Wizard of Oz. You remember that show, that film? You love that film.
Have you seen the film Wizard of Oz?
Yes, I have seen.
Okay, good.
I've seen the Wizard of Oz, I promise.
I used to love it as a child, the Wizard of Oz. But Wicked never once pretends like you don't know how the story is going to end.
I think I know I've done oh my god, what song is it? The Wizard and I
Yes.
a few times for like singing lessons. And it is such a fun song to sing because of her little premonition bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way you act it is so important.
Yes. I'm going to say something not shocking to anyone who knows me in real life. I'm a Glinda girl, through and through.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Might say something a bit controversial. I think she's way more interesting than Elphaba.
Yeah. I get where you're coming from.
Having No One Mourns the Wicked as an opening number. Fascinating. Because you get to the end of the show and you're like, oh God.
I think it's like, I'm going to say right now, to be very clear, I've never been a massive fan of Wicked. I've never seen it live.
Yeah.
I've listened to it. I've like done songs from it. I'll probably go and see the movie when it comes out just for like the
just to say you've seen the Wicked movie after all these years.
Yeah. Like I know the plot. I know what it's about. I know a few of the songs.
Yeah.
I think it's very interesting how people apply it to the real world. But he was bringing up how on Broadway there has never been. Am I right in saying never?
I think there might have been an understudy.
Yeah, but there's never been a principal.
Principal, yes, Principal Elphaba,
who has
is
been
a black woman.
Person of color. Is it a black woman or a person of color?
Because I know Latina women have played her.
Oh, okay.
Because Lindsay Mendez famously played her during the 10th anniversary.
Oh yeah. No matter which way you spin it, Wicked is very much a story about race.
Yes.
Like the thing is, you can say as much as you want that, oh, it's set in Oz. Like they make up all of these words to create this new world of Oz.
Isn't Oz this Oz this topsy-turvy place? But like it's about
but the thing is, and this goes for literally any musical. When you enter it, you are coming in from the real world, and when you leave it, you are going back into the real world. So anything that happens within the musical, is affected by the real world.
Yeah.
Which is why so many musicals have messages.
Yeah.
because they have to.
Mm.
And so Wicked is definitely about race.
Oh yeah.
Even if it wasn't entirely intentional, and it definitely was somewhat intentional, but even if it wasn't entirely intentional, it's about race.
Yeah, no, there's no way for Wicked not to be about race discussion around it.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting to like analyze Wicked through it because you can say very easily, like Wicked is a good musical because the songs are good and the
Yes.
story is good and the
Yes.
actors are good.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, that's true. That's a fine analysis. And that's what, to be fair, a lot of those reviews you just read were doing.
I think like a lot of like, and especially because Wicked is such a tourist show because it has been running for such a long time. That's what you want to see when you go see a
Yeah,
show as a tourist.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But there are people who will do like in-depth analysis of Wicked.
Yeah.
And and it's like, oh, like Glinda is I didn't read this, but I did see it. I don't remember where. It was like Glinda is a white savior.
Yes.
And this idea that she is so sad about her best friend's death. Like we were talking about this, the belt on Die Alone.
See,
Incredible storytelling.
that is amazing, and that's why I love No One Wants the Wicked as an opener. It's because
Yeah,
it's like there's this it really, especially when performed in that way with the belt, is it sets up these
yeah,
two sides of Galinda's character almost
yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
the real conflict of her, which is outwardly being this very white, this very stereotypical good person, and then privately trying to be friends with Elphaba. I don't know how to describe it, but
But the point about her
yeah,
as a white
continue.
savior, I don't even think it was called like Glinda as a white savior because that's not entirely what she is. Like a white
No,
savior is a very specific thing. I think she a lot of the time is presented as the one who suffers because she can't say she loves her best friend because, you know,
can't say
otherwise
she's sad about
her career is gonna suffer.
her career in politics is gonna
And it's like,
suffer.
yeah, okay, her best friend is being celebrated that she died. She's being hunted. And we're
Yeah,
meant to
and
like
her
I
best friend
understand. I
and
do feel
the
sorry for
love of
Glinda as a
her
character. I
life.
love Glinda as yeah. I love Glinda as a character. I always feel sorry for her. I empathize with her so much. However,
No, when I
just
say
objectively, Elphaba has it worse.
no, Elphaba always has it worse. But when I say Glinda's the more interesting, personally, Glinda's the more interesting character to me, and it's been this way for ages. Because my first introduction really into the full dynamics of Wicked was I did a scene from it, and it's the scene where Elphaba and Glinda meet face to face for the first time after she's like Elphaba's like left
Yeah.
in Act Two, and it's the one where she's got the wand. She's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
chucking it about. I did that, and I was like, oh, there's an interesting dynamic here. And side note, but there's a slap in the thing, and so we did we did the slap. It was fake, obviously, but then when I watched Theatre Camp,
Oh yeah.
it's all I could think of. When the two children start fake slapping each other.
Yeah.
It was like, oh my God, that was so me and the girl I did this with because we just used to do it all the time. Fake slap each other.
Yeah.
And it
It's
would
such a
be
fun
like
skill to have.
such a great
Theatre
skill.
kids will do one stage combat class and it's then every party trick we pull out for the next 10 years.
No, it literally was like but no,
It's so fun.
because that being almost my first introduction into what Wicked was really about, because obviously like I knew like Popular and Defying
Yeah.
Gravity and The Wizard Eye and What Is This Feeling, but like that being my first introduction into like what Wicked is really about,
Yeah.
has kind of made me more interested in Glinda because in that scene she's very much like, like it's very sad that Nessa I basically killed Nessa. but Elphaba's back and that's what I wanted, and oh my God, my friend's back.
Yeah. I think it is a very interesting dynamic and you could write essays on it and people do and it's very interesting.
People do, and I welcome it.
Yeah, but I think the thing at the core of Wicked is it is just a really good musical.
It is.
It has all the makings of it.
It does. And yeah, I I don't know. I feel like I should like Wicked more than I do though.
I think that's the thing. It's the same way I felt about Phantom, like what, a year, 2 years ago.
Literally this time last year.
Guys, would you believe that a year ago I just did not care about Phantom?
You were like Andrew Lloyd Webber, who that old Tory?
I knew who Andrew Lloyd Webber was. I just did not care about Phantom.
Mm.
It's like I think if I go when we go and see it, because undoubtedly we do have to go and see it.
I've seen Wicked twice.
Okay. When I go and see it,
No, I'm
then,
gonna see it
as long as
again
I'm
because
invited.
I want to go see it again because I have in who they've got in at the moment, and I want to go see that in the West End.
Yeah, when I undoubtedly go see it, I know I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to love it.
Yeah.
I've just never seen it and I've listened to it, but I've never gotten into it.
One thing I will say is I saw it around this time last year, and the sound quality,
God, we're always talking about the sound quality.
especially in a show like Wicked, when they're belting,
Yeah.
when they're using like both actresses playing Elphaba and Glinda are using the highest part or like the hardest parts of their voices.
Yeah.
And so it should be protected and they should not have to sing very loudly.
Yeah, well, I want to see who's in the cast right now on the West End.
Your bestie, Lucy St. Louis.
I do really want to go see Lucy St. Louis.
It goes back to the race point.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to go see it.
I remember watching his first video about it when he like just briefly mentioned it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure. Like he says Broadway like every sentence.
Yeah,
He's like
it's,
on Broadway.
It's
on
Broadway because on the West End, Elphaba and Glinda are both being played by Black women.
Yeah.
And
Which is quite
Glinda's been played by a Black woman.
I think okay. The thing on race that I want to say is it's not like Hairspray,
No.
where you could never have a Black Tracy because it like would not make sense.
Yes.
Wicked is inherently like colorblind casting because it's not one of them is black and one of them is white. It's one of them is green and the other one is a human.
But
So
also she comes and goes by a manufactured bubble.
She's mostly human. So it is definitely a show that you can cast like blindly.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter who's playing the roles.
Yeah.
As long as you can sell it well. But the point about the Broadway production is that it's just interesting that they've never had a principal Black Elphaba when the story is so like related to
like I think it that's why I want to go see it on the West End because I'm like does it change my opinions of Wicked?
Yeah, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I do not have like a in-depth knowledge of all of the Wicked cast throughout history.
I know that there are probably some people out there who do.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if in my memory I can think of one where there's been a white Elphaba but a black Glinda.
Yes, that's happened on Broadway.
It has.
Yes.
That on Broadway. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's just interesting that it's been going for 20 years and it's not happened yet.
Isn't it like I feel like I'm saying it witty because I'm not trying to insinuate something or I'm trying to be like this show has to be cast like
no, I'm just saying
the point I was trying to make
was interrupted.
Sorry, something happened and we had to take a brief break.
We had to take a break.
Oh my god, wait, hold on, I'm just looking at the cast. Elphaba, Glinda, and Fiera all black.
I'm so intrigued. I want to see it. I want to see whether or not it changes it. And another thing, like do you want to go back to your point you were trying to make?
The point I was trying to make, we'll get there eventually. Because I'm not trying to insinuate anything. I'm not trying to say that the show won't work unless you acknowledge the race of the actors you're casting. Because it does. It's worked for what, 20 years now?
20 years.
Exactly, yeah. 20 years. Without that being an intrinsic part of the casting process. However, it is something to consider. And that's why we're saying it's really interesting the Broadway production has never done it. Because so many other shows have.
Like, especially since Wicked has started, we have seen a real push for colorblind casting. And like Wicked has never embraced it. And also what's something interesting is when I was reading just some reviews, like I remember reading a Theatre Mania review, which I didn't end up using because it was quite weirdly formatted. But they spent a lot of time talking about the animal rights aspect of the show compared to the racial aspect of the show.
Yeah, I think it is the thing. There's a lot of issues that Wicked relates to. Because you can pick it apart and you can say this bit relates to this issue and this bit relates to this issue. I think the idea of the race, I don't want to call it the race issue because that sounds really weird.
That sounds like you're writing some kind of academic text.
Yeah, but the issue on whether, I guess, on whether Elphaba is intended to be black, it's not written about a ton. Because
Yeah.
your basic two stances are either, yes, are you fucking stupid? She is green and treated differently for it. How can that not be, symbolic of race?
Yes.
And the
100%.
other end of the spectrum is, no, are you stupid? She's green. How is that meant to be a representation of race?
Like,
there's not
she's
really a
green and
middle
there's
point to
flying
that.
monkeys and there's a talking goat. Like,
And
who
they made up
cares?
words for Oz
Yeah,
the
but
audience just used.
I think Wicked is aware enough in points. That's my
Yeah.
thing.
I think the thing is we can go on and we can say this about race and that about race, and Elphaba should be black, but Elphaba doesn't need to be black. And we can say this on and on and on. Ultimately, we are two white girls.
Yes, exactly.
And when I go and see Wicked, inevitably, I'm not gonna say, yeah, it was good. However,
Yeah.
it would have been better if I had known that the woman covered in lime green paint.
It's like,
If I had known she was black, I would have enjoyed it more.
well, she is black on the West End at the moment.
Well, I don't know how soon I'm going to get tickets because I've seen the prices for Wicked.
Have you just Googled them?
I did, yeah.
They haven't.
I don't think there is much more I can say on the race issue without just going in circles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, I hate calling it a race issue, but I cannot think of something better to call it.
I don't know. I don't know.
There are people who are going to talk about it better
Yes.
and with more understanding than we can.
There is an art because we're going to talk about it more in depth later on in the episode. I've got some names and links and stuff.
Perfect.
So check those out if you would like some more eloquent talking.
Please. I just waffled for like 20 minutes.
We're gonna signpost you there. I do enjoy the female friendship aspect of Wicked, and that being the central theme.
Again, it's a really good show in a lot of ways.
For good. I don't know why. I was walking down the street the other day. I got quite emotional at For Good.
I think even just the beginning of like Defying Gravity.
Yeah.
I feel like half of our conversations right before we have a tiny little fight sound like that. I hope you're happy.
I hope you're happy now.
I hope you're happy how you
right before we started fighting about who should have won who won the Tony in the 80s.
Yep. I hope you're happy.
I hope you're happy sometime. People always forget how much of Defying Gravity is a duet. I
did a quite frankly horrific production of Wicked with shitty. Yeah, I will say a shitty little drama school I went to. I won't say the name.
You did an illegal production of Wicked.
It was basically only the first act. Let me try and explain. So it was a showcase, so every group did like a different musical.
Yeah.
I also don't know if you know this. Our groups were named after composers.
Yeah.
So the youngest group was called Sondheim.
Yeah.
Sondheim. The middle group was called Weber. And Weber was always the biggest fucking group because you were in there for the longest. So I was in Weber for about 10 years, it felt like.
Your dream now.
I know. The oldest group was called Schwartz, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right from what you've told me.
Yeah, and then the afternoon group, I actually did not realize that the afternoon group was also named after a composer until like a year after I left.
What?
Because the afternoon group was called Brown.
That's such a boring name.
I was like, okay. I was like Gershwin maybe? That could be fun.
Hammerstein?
Yeah.
Even fucking Rice.
Exactly. A lot of fun ones to choose from, but they did none of them.
No, they should have let us choose. I'm fucking Brown.
But basically the way it worked was every group got to do their own little musical. Weber did Matilda, and I was really annoyed about it. And then we were gonna end Act 1.
With Defying Gravity.
Yes. Because that was the thing. So Brown got to do the first half of the first act, basically.
Right.
And then our opening song for our bit, because we had to share Wicked with Brown, but our opening song was One Short Day.
Yeah.
Which is a great song. I love One Short Day.
Banger of a tune.
And we did that into... I think I briefly mentioned this, but I don't know if you fully got it. we did one short day, and then we danced to a Todrick Hall song, which is why I specifically said, yeah, he has an entire album of Wizard of Oz songs, like Wicked songs. Because I danced to one of them.
You know intimately.
I do know it. I know that it has a swear word at the beginning, and instead of bleeping it or like covering it, the music just cut out for a second. We had to pretend like that was normal. And then we finished with Defying Gravity. Well, I think the best part was for the Flying Monkeys, they wanted us to make a human staircase,
Huh?
which took a lot of work. I played a guard because I was funny, and that was kind of my only experience with Wicked.
No, mine in that sense is doing that scene, and me and my
Yeah.
friend, we wore pink and blue dresses. We had the same dress in both pink and blue.
Oh.
And so we wore that and slapped each other. What else was I gonna say? I really like Thank Goodness as well as a song.
Yeah.
I
I
think
need to
it's
get out the
fun
album right now. So
when
I feel like
she's
I know a lot of songs when they have them
I
in front of
all like and I mean again this has been another criticism leveled at Wicked about its use of disability or the theme of disability and having
Yeah,
choice to have Nessa Rose in a wheelchair, but then having her get up and use her legs. And so that decision being, and it's also important to the plot currently in Wicked.
yeah,
It is because that's how the ruby red slippers come into play. So it's a key central theme of the show that Nessa gets gifted these ruby red slippers, and the second they're brought on stage, you automatically know no, the ruby red slippers are the reason why she can walk, and you know who gets killed by the house. But in that decision of making Nessa able-bodied,
yeah,
you inhabit the role from being played by someone who is in a wheelchair.
yeah. Because she's in a wheelchair for most of it, if I'm correct in thinking.
Yes, it's like the scene before the house falls on her. She gets the
Yeah,
shoes.
and it is really annoying because there are a ton of disabled actresses who could do it really well,
Mm-hmm.
but because she then does just have to get up and walk at the end.
I I think I don't know about the Wicked movie casting because I've genuinely not been following it that intensely. But I know that they put out a casting call with because
Yeah.
you can't outright say in casting calls I'm seeking someone in a wheelchair. You have to like
You can if it's not like
state a preference, I think. That's what they did.
I think you can like heavily hint at it.
Yes, they heavily hinted at it. That's what they did.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'm
gonna look up the cast of the movie. I
actually
don't know.
that is a intriguing point for the Wicked movie. That is one thing that is genuinely
I do
making me
just
want to
want to
go
say, do
see
you
it.
want to know who the first person who comes up with?
Fucking Ethan Slater.
Yes!
Fuck Ethan Slater. Oh yeah, a big news. Ariana Grande went to spam a lot this week.
Christ.
That's a sentence
Okay.
I thought I'd say.
Marissa Bode, who is disabled,
Okay. That's going to be an interesting choice, but
at least
currently,
according to her IMDb.
okay.
Let's see.
Because currently Nessa is not um played by it. But the thing with theatre is that you could change that.
Yeah. I think it's a thing they already changed it. Because originally she just didn't have arms,
Yeah.
which I don't entirely know how that would work with them thinking she was elf.
Yeah, I think the book just
I
goes completely different.
think, the book had enough going on. And like to an extent, I understand why they did it.
In 2003, I understand completely why they did it.
Yeah. And then I think it's one of those things, once it's set in stone, people feel very reluctant to change it.
Yes.
But I feel 20 years, I feel like there must be some way to work around it.
And I will be intrigued to see what the movie's take on it is and whether or not whether or not the other versions that are currently running will take on that change.
Yeah. I think there's a part of me that feels like the way they did it was probably the best they could.
Yeah.
By being like, hey, she needs to walk in the end. We're not
Yeah.
going to cure her. We're not going to be like, and suddenly she's all better and she never even had a disability. It's like she never had a disability. It's just she has this one very specific pair of shoes, and when she wears them, she can walk. And
Yes.
it's just bad luck that when she is wearing them,
A house falls on her head.
and because, there's only so many evil witches that can walk, they're gonna assume it's one of them.
Her and Bok.
Yeah.
Bok's just kind of there.
Yeah.
He is so the comedic relief. And again, Fiyero is
I think it's one of the things we can nitpick Wicked all we want.
I don't
Because again,
think
it's from 2003. There are things that are going to be shit about it.
the thing I was talking about the other day actually was the fact that Wicked is now technically considered old or history because once something reaches the 20-year mark, it's like history, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And I don't think that's the right term for like shows that are currently running, but you get what I mean when I say that.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy that you weren't born when Wicked opened, but I was?
You were like 5 days old.
Okay. No.
When Wicked started
like a
performances,
month
you were
old.
5 days old when Wicked started
Okay.
performances.
Yeah, but I was alive and you weren't.
Sorry.
Well, how many months are between us?
10?
10?
10.
God, you literally did not exist.
Yeah.
Christ.
Wicked started. But
Wicked is older than you.
Wicked doesn't feel old to me.
It's timeless,
Yeah, but like I even something like Les Mis, which I love, I'm like, this is old.
I'm not even going to talk about something because it is fucking old.
I mean, I when you were talking about Christine's hair and how you could see it up close, I went, oh, I thought it was just 80s hair.
No, it's a beautifully styled wig.
Well, I've not seen it up close, so
Oh, you should. Front row, baby.
if I ever have the money for that, I will.
I have this card that my friends got me for my birthday, and it has some musical on the front.
Yeah.
Like anything goes. That's
Yes,
old.
that's old.
But Wicked isn't.
Wicked doesn't feel old, but I mean, we can get to our predictions about where Wicked is going to go in the future because I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Shall we park our thoughts and move on to the very controversial 2004 Tony Awards?
God, you weren't even born for these yet either.
No, I was. No, I wasn't. Fuck.
No, you won.
No, I wasn't. No.
Okay, Esme's not allowed to talk about this because she wasn't alive. So I was, and I had very strong opinions about it.
I was there in spirit in the same way you were there in spirit when
like
Into the
6
Woods.
months. It's actually my first words were at 6 months old, and it was me complaining about the Tony Awards.
That would be. You do like to complain about the Tony Awards.
Oh yeah.
So at the 2004 Tony Awards, they were nominated for 10 awards, being Best Musical, Best Performance, or in a musical for Idina Menzel and Christian Chenoweth.
Together or separate?
Separate. It's not a sixth thing. Best Book, Best Score, Best Scenic Design, Best Costume Design, Best Lighting Design, Best Orchestration, and Best Choreography. It would win 3 of the awards, being Best Costume Design, Best Scenic Design, and Best Actress for Idina Menzel.
Okay.
Notably, now this is the one that like truly makes people go, what the fuck was going on in the Tony voters room?
Yeah.
The most controversial thing is that Avenue Q won Best Musical over Wicked. And there's an interesting article that I'm going to link about how basically Avenue Q were able to pull that off.
Yeah. I remember, obviously. Obviously.
Following it closely.
Yeah. But I know they did a marketing campaign.
They did a marketing campaign. Let me pull up a photo of it. And they wrote a song for this. We can talk about Avenue Q as like a show at a different date because I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like they wrote a song called Rod's Dilemma, and then they had like this whole thing of vote with your heart, and they reminded Tony voters that it was a secret ballot.
I think it's a thing. You can't fault them for it.
You can't fault them for trying something new, and you're not allowed to do this anymore.
Yeah. But it's the thing, it's like Avenue Q, it's not that Avenue Q didn't deserve to win. This is starting to sound like a lot like what I said about Into the Woods. Avenue Q is a good musical. It's not that it didn't deserve to win.
I think Avenue Q is so much more dated than Wicked.
Oh yeah, but keeping in mind that this was when it wasn't dated. This 2000.
Oh, no, I like understand why people were like, I'm gonna go with the edgy choice, Avenue Q.
It's like undoubtedly when Wicked closes and then revives like a year later, it's gonna win Best Revival. like no other show should even attempt to revival that year because Wicked is just gonna win.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how shit the production is, they're gonna give it to Wicked.
They've gotta like make up for this loss in hindsight.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Avenue Q, me and Avenue Q, is I was meant to be in a junior production of Avenue Q.
Yeah.
COVID did a lot of bad, but it did one thing right, stopping that production from ever happening.
Could you imagine?
There's
the thing I was gonna say is that of all of the awards it was nominated for,
yeah,
the three it got, I think I understand the most.
as I said.
Actually, maybe lighting. I would have liked to see lighting for Wicked.
I'm glad the costumes got a mention. They did get a mention, yes.
I think okay, it's a thing. I think they had to give it to costume and Idina Menzel. Because if a
scenic.
woman is okay, but specifically costume and Idina Menzel.
Okay.
Because if a woman is getting up on stage 8 times a week, head
And
to toe
flying.
in flying in green paint,
Yeah, I saw an interview.
you're gonna not give her best performance.
I saw an interview with Lindsay Mendez this week because Wicked has just kind of been everywhere this week.
Yeah.
Basically saying that she had green moles after doing Wicked because it seeps in, the green paint seeps into your pores.
Yeah.
And gets
a lot of that.
under your skin.
Ugh.
Another thing that so 2004 Tony Awards, still a touchy subject for a lot of people.
I think, okay, the most controversial Tony Awards, 2017.
It's like 2017, 2004, and then I can't remember the year off the top of my head, 1987, in my opinion. What do you think?
Okay.
1987, which is Phantom versus Intense.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's been any recently. Like apart from 2017.
I think this year's Tony Awards might be quite controversial.
It's not this year.
Like there's like 13 new musicals going to Broadway.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Was Shocked last year?
Yeah, Kimberly and Kimbo won it last year.
That makes sense.
Okay, the cast recording would come out on the 16th of December 2003 after being recorded just a month earlier. It would win the Grammy for Best Musical Theatre Album against Avenue Q.
Finally
Got some justice. Revenge is sweet. It has been certified 3 times platinum and sold over 2 million copies.
It is an iconic show. It's a beautiful show.
It is iconic. It's a high standard. I don't really have much more to say about it other than that. Some fun odds and ends just from this time. Christian Chenoweth would have to perform high on painkillers because Laura Bell Bundy had flown to LA without the producers knowing. There may or may not be a bootleg. Again, we don't support bootlegs. However,
I would never watch a bootleg.
It is deeply hilarious.
Has the bubble got stuck?
I don't think so. But you have to be under a certain height to like play Glinda to fit in the bubble.
I remember seeing a thing about what they do if the bubble gets stuck. I was like, I don't think the bubble has gotten stuck.
There's been no fly shows.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Which you can get a refund if Elphaba doesn't fly at your show.
I would not do that.
No, I'd be like, this is like a win.
Yeah.
Idina Menzel's last performance would also be infamous. Yesterday, at a matinee during a Melton scene, which comes at the very late of the show, there's a trap door that opens at the end of the show. An elevated platform is exposed just beneath the stage floor. Idina normally steps onto the platform and is lowered beneath the stage. The elevator had already partially descended, so when she stepped forward, she fell and hit her side. The show was stopped, the house curtain was lowered, and an announcement was made to see if a doctor was in the house. People did rush backstage, an ambulance came and took Idina to the hospital. During that time, Shoshana Bean, Idina's standby, quickly got into green makeup and costume and completed the performance.
Like an icon for getting into green makeup that quickly.
I mean, it must take at least like half an hour to get into that makeup, but props.
But then I also reckon that maybe like the audience would understand if it wasn't.
No, the audience would probably like, yeah, fairs.
Yeah.
At the curtain call, Joey McIntyre played his last performance as Fiyero, January 6th. reassured the audience that Adina was going to be okay. At the hospital, x-rays were taken Menzel, and it was discovered that the actress had cracked one of her lower ribs. Because of the injury, Stand By Bean also played Saturday's evening performance and described the house as very supportive. It had been announced prior to the matinee that Menzel would make an appearance during the musical's final curtain call. The Tony-winning actress, however, surprised the sold-out crowd by coming on stage dressed in a red tracksuit to complete one final scene of the musical. She came on and did full good with Kristen Chenoweth for the last time.
It does suck when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, but that photo of her in the red tracksuit has become iconic, and I saw people referencing it at the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
To be able to sing
yeah.
rib as well. Anyway, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. I was gonna say it does become kind of iconic when people, this sounds bad, but when like actors have the bad injuries and then come back. Like I was gonna say the Andy Carl thing.
Oh yeah, love Andy Carl.
Like that's kind of iconic. There was the
he's been in Wicked, yeah, I think.
He's done everything. I was also gonna say the Alex Brayton thing right before Beetlejuice. I want to say this, but I'm not entirely sure it's true.
We don't have any sources,
Right
just Nell's memory of Beetlejuice lore.
I think just before it closed for good.
Yeah.
He was sick or he was out with like an injury.
Yeah.
Do you not remember this? There was a big thing about him getting injured somewhere, like on the set.
I think so. Yeah, I don't remember that now.
And then he came back for like the final performance or maybe the last few performances. I just remember the really big round of applause when he jumps up in the coffin.
Yes. Menzel would say to the audience,
he got a concussion. That's what it was. He had a concussion.
He had a concussion. That's a lot more than we think Broadway performers getting concussions randomly. It's kind of horrific, but
yeah,
no one should be getting a concussion at their job. The Associated Press, Idina Menzel told the audience when she left, she went, "I love you all. This has been the best year of my life. Thank you." In 2005, Wicked would start its first national tour, dubbed the Emerald City Tour, and kicked off in Toronto, Ontario. It would have a sold-out
national tour, so it was a Canadian tour.
No, the national tours go to Canada and America.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense to us, but to them it does.
No, because a national is for the nation.
I know.
The nation of America.
I know. It would announce that the touring cast would come to Chicago, do its normal engagement, and then another set and another cast would take over and just run in Chicago, as a sit-down production. And then they did this again in LA, and in LA it ran for 2 years, playing 791 performances, with it grossing over $90 million, with Mark Platt, father of Ben Platt, and father of a Fiyero in Wicked, Jonah Platt.
Oh my god.
Do you want to know how I know that? Because Jonah Platt also played Jason in Bear, a pop opera, in the one in the LA production where no one can work out whether or not it's a bootleg or a pro shot.
Well, it's better be a pro shot because you would never watch a bootleg.
I would never watch a bootleg, and I've heard it's a pro shot. It's very well filmed, with him saying, "Wicked is one of the biggest hits in Los Angeles history, and we are thrilled that theatregoers have embraced the musical and welcomed us so heartily. Our run at the Pantages has been a joy to the entire community, and will place Wicked alongside the only 2 other shows in recent memory that have successfully carried out called Los Angeles Home for an Extended Stay, The Lion King and Phantom of the Opera."
Phantom
Mention! The national tour of Wicked would play 4,160 performances, 124 engagements, and took in an average of $1.5 million a week. Broke box office records in every single stop that it would play, over 200 actors being employed over the course of its life. Some big names have been in the tour. Stephanie J. Block, Tony winner, Shoshana Bean, Tony nominee, Eden Espinosa, who's now front womaning her own Broadway show, Limpeka, I believe it's called. It's just announced it's going to Broadway this week. And as Glinda, Megan Hilty from Smash. Ali Marzi, who was in Kimberly Akimbo, and Patty Murin, who was Anna. In 2006, Wicked would have its biggest week at the box office of any show in box office history, making $1.6 million in 1 week, which was a big deal.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And now, like, some shows do 2 million a week, I think is the highest, but this was a big deal
Yeah.
for 2006. Again, in 2006, it would move to the West End with performances starting on the 7th of September 2006 with Idina Menzel opening the show as Elphaba.
Yay.
It was nice that she got to come back and like finish off her run
Mm.
and give it some closure. Idina wouldn't stay long though. She's a very busy woman, Idina.
Oh yeah.
She would leave the show on the 30th of December 2006 and be replaced by Carrie Ellis. At the Olivier Awards, it'd be nominated for Best Costume Design, Best Director, Best Lighting Design, Best Set Design, and it would only win an Olivier Award in retrospective in that weird as most popular show award in
Jesus
2010.
Christ.
In the US, it would launch another national tour whilst the first one was still going on, called the Munchkin Land Tour, which began in 2009. This tour is still running today, and it has played 5,000 performances as of last year. The show would pass $1 billion in Broadway sales in March of 2016, with it joining The Lion King and Phantom as the only shows to have grossed $1 billion in the box office. In 2017, it would surpass Phantom as the second highest Broadway grossing show in history, making just shy of 2 million the week before, making the grand total that it is grossed $1.12 billion.
I love Wicked, but it shouldn't surpass Phantom.
That is more money than I can ever conceptualize that it has made in that short period of time. Like, that's insane. That's insane. It's been performed all over the world in 100 cities and 14 countries, being the US, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Japan, Germany, Holland, New Zealand, Singapore, South Korea, the Philippines, Mexico, and Brazil. Normal for a show that's been around this long to make it to so many destinations.
Normal list of countries.
Yeah. The 10th anniversary didn't really have much fanfare. It does have a stacked cast in retrospective with Lindsay Mendez, Ali Amazi, and Derek Klenner heading up.
That is pretty stacked cast.
Yeah. They did a new version of the playbill, which
bit boring.
And I think the version of the playbill is kind of ugly.
To be fair, they also did like a lot of shows do the different version of the playbill for like anniversaries and stuff. So I know Phantom did it. But Phantom also lit up the Empire State Building in New York for their anniversary.
We'll get to it for the 20 years.
So
don't worry. The Empire State Building needs to sort itself out. I'd be for the Empire State Building.
I hate the Empire State Building.
I don't like it because they're constantly convincing TikTok Swifties that something's going to happen.
Yeah.
Good job. The popular song, which is a song by Micah, samples samples Wicked, and he said, I went to see Wicked and I thought Glinda's being mean. So I thought it would be nice to take the song and write my own version of it, because I didn't like what she was saying in that part of the show. So I thought, instead of being the popular girl who sang it, just get the loser to sing it. When Steven Schwartz came over to my house, I played it for him and explained why I did it. He heard it and freaked out. He loved it instantly. Important person to mention entering the Wicked lexicon.
Oh God.
Ariana Grande. And just speaking about
beginning
how much
of the end.
She fucking loves Wicked. And you know what? A lot can be said about Ariana and her relationship with Wicked. One thing you can never not say is that girl does not like Wicked.
I think she like her being cast as Glinda, I think she's going to do incredibly. However, the things she has brought along with her.
Yeah. The havoc she has wreaked on my little corner of the internet.
Exactly.
She will pay for her crimes.
And I do. Well, I was going to say I really love Ariana Grande, but I don't know if that's entirely true. I find her fun.
Yeah. most of the time I don't really think about her very often, but I've been
Yeah,
forced to think about her more than I have in ages in the past couple of months.
yeah.
Um, so for the 15th anniversary, they would do it bigger than other shows by hosting a very wicked Halloween with Christian Chenoweth and Idina Menzel hosting. It was pre-recorded taping that lasted 90 minutes with special guests being Adam Lambert
Okay.
and Ledesi doing their own version of As Long as You're Mine. Adam Lambert was a member of the ensemble and then Fiera in the LA run, so it makes sense why he's there.
Yeah.
Chenoweth and Menzel did Popular and Defying Gravity, with it being a more stripped down pop version of Defying Gravity. Pentatonics were there because it was 2018.
You're kidding.
What else were
Not pentatonic.
What else were Pentatonics meant to be doing?
I don't know, making some sick acoustic songs.
They did What Is This Feeling? And
Doesn't surprise me.
no, Ariana Grande would appear again in the Wicked universe
Oh,
and
God.
would perform The Wizard and I. And
I mean, a fun song for sure.
a fun song, but she was one of the biggest pop stars in the world at that point.
Yeah.
And she was performing on a very wicked Halloween.
I mean, I think the thing with Ariana Grande is she has always been rooted in musical theatre.
No, exactly. However, she forgot how to enunciate in this performance.
Enunciate.
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 Yeah.
In this performance, she just forgot how to.
It's the thing. Actually, speaking of Ariana Grande and like musical theatre, the thing that really pisses me off is this photo of her from like when she was like 5 or something, and it's her as Annie in
Yes.
Annie, and she has the stupid Annie wig on, you know, like the really like frizzy, like ginger one,
Yeah.
and like every few years it resurfaces, and someone's like, I don't know what I expected Ariana Grande to look like when I was younger, but I didn't think she'd have that hair. It's like, first of all, it's a wig.
She's
It's a wig.
wearing the red
It is
wig
a
and the
costume.
red dress.
Like, do you think she just dressed like little orphan Annie all the time for fun? Some of us might have done that, and we can't say who.
Yeah, not to name names.
But you know, some people might want to do that. I don't think
Yeah.
Ariana Grande did.
No. But at the end, they would have a lot of the former Glindas and Alphabas join the stage and sing Forgetters.
That's kind of cute.
The right way to end a Wicked celebration.
Yeah.
And the only way to end a Wicked celebration.
Do you think when they do like the 25th one, they'll have Ariana Grande sing?
Oh yeah, Ariana will be there. She'll be at any Wicked performance.
But like this time she'll be there properly because she's actually in Wicked.
And I have to
hopefully.
Who knows? These movies could take another it's 2 of them we have to remember as well.
Yeah, but well, I mean, once the first one's out, I feel like she's kind of cemented herself.
Yeah, she's actually played the role now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want her to get really into some random niche musical and go support that.
Ariana Grande, there is this musical called Talk Everlasting.
I knew you were about to go there.
There's this great musical that I think you'd be a really big fan of.
Ariana, can I interest you in Next to Normal? Get that back on the world stage.
Please.
Please, Ariana. Lighten the piazza. Dove Cameron couldn't take us all the way to Broadway.
But you could, Ariana.
You could, Ariana. In 2021, they would honour Wicked coming back to Broadway by doing a Wicked concert special in September of 2021, on PBS, co-hosted by Christian and Idina, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, they are always doing Wicked stuff, which always kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but there's not another long-running, actually, Sarah B. in Phantom.
Okay, listen. Name one other thing that Sarah B has done.
Isn't she like a world-renowned opera singer in her own right?
No, she's a world-renowned soprano.
Yeah.
She's not an opera singer, just for reference.
Oh yeah, she doesn't do like the national operas.
No, she's just a soprano. And she is a very lovely singer. I want to always make that clear. I do think Sarah Brightman is a beautiful singer.
Yeah, we've never said anything bad about Sarah B's singing.
I was also going to say Sierra Baguette. in terms of constantly coming back to things. That sounds a bit mean, and I do love Sierra Baguette.
Toby, no hate to
Toby,
Sierra.
Toby, I love Sierra Baguette.
We love
You
Sierra.
can't deny that when half of her like listed things she's been in is some form of Phantom of the
Phantom
Opera.
of the Opera, yeah. You can't. It's undeniable. Yeah. So at this event there would be Mario Castrone, Gavin Creel, Ariana DeBose, Cynthia Erivo, who was probably in talks to play Elphaba by that point,
Yeah.
or knew she was going to do it, so it makes sense why she's there. Stephanie Sue, Rita
I'll
Menard,
always accept Stephanie Sue being in places.
Stephanie
I
Sue
love
anywhere.
Stephanie Sue.
We accept it. We love it. I loved it when she went to the Oscars. It was a personal highlight of this year. Rita Morano, Jennifer Nettles, Alex Newell. Again, someone I will always accept being places.
Yeah.
Isaac Powell, Amber Riley, Gabrielle Ruiz, and Ali Stroker. There's a lot of people on that list who I accept being at the Wicked celebration.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I can fault anyone for being at the Wicked celebration at the end of the day. If I get invited, I'd go.
It makes a lot more sense than the 15th anniversary did.
Yeah.
We understand the thought process a lot more. Wicked would reopen on Broadway on September 14th, 2021, starring Gianna Claire Mason as Glinda and Lindsay Pearce as Elphaba. She was also in that LA production of Bear. She played Ivy. Fun times. On the 10th of March 2022, Brittany Johnson would become the first Black actress to play Glinda in Wicked on Broadway. For a show like this is what I meant by I had more.
So it took them almost 20 years.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying to insinuate anything. I'm not even necessarily saying it's inherently a bad thing.
It's just interesting in the
It's
time
also
period.
at the end of the day, you want to believe that every Broadway show is hiring blindly.
Yes.
As in being like, this is the person who went to the audition and was the best, so we've hired them.
Yeah, I know exactly.
That's what we'd like to believe. So I would love to believe that somehow, in 19 years of auditioning, there was never a Black woman who was better than non-Black. I wouldn't actually saying I would love to believe that sounds a bit bad.
Yeah.
Sounds very bad actually. But isn't I would love to believe that that is the truth, that they just genuinely believed
in the fairness of casting.
Yeah. I'd love to believe that they genuinely believe they were always hiring the best person.
Yeah.
But it is really weird.
I would love to believe
19 years.
I'd love to believe that we didn't live in a world of unconscious bias being that powerful.
Yeah.
However, in 2009,
it is crazy for Wicked. It's crazy for Wicked out of all shows.
Crazy. A show about feminism. It's not about fucking feminism. Girl bossery.
Yeah.
Well, girl bossery is quite white, isn't it?
Yeah. To be fair, I'm trying to think when Phantom. Sorry, I always use Phantom.
2020, I think they had our dear friend Lucy St. Louis.
But that was the first Black. Also, it wasn't. It was the first. Excluding South Africa, it was the first Black Christine.
Yeah.
But I feel like again, then the Phantom thing, they've like only ever had Norm Lewis.
Yeah, and then they had Ali Ewald as
they've had non-white actors for a while. Actually, very interesting because Emily Groucho, she was the first Black actor to ever play Christine Daae on Broadway.
Yeah,
and that was also in 2022. Did Broadway have a problem?
Yeah, I think because that was the first time that there were a big cast change post-COVID.
It's again the thing.
It's insane. Like
for me, I would love to believe that Phantom is blindly casting and be like, no, we just want someone who can hit those notes and can act this role well. Well, maybe acting is less of a requirement given who originated it. However,
shout out Sarah
I would love to believe that. I thought I can with Alex Brightman, no. Because you were talking about Sarah B. With Andrew Lloyd Webber in charge, there's definitely unconscious bias in Broadway, in theatre in general, and it sucks.
Because it's keeping very talented people from doing their jobs. Anyways,
Let's step away from that.
no, we've got
Putting up our own thoughts on that.
2009. Alexa Academy was the first. She returns in 2023, starring opposite Lucy St. Louis, making it the first.
Love Lucy St. Louis so much. Oh
Nell
my God.
genuinely loves Lucy St. Louis.
She was the first Christine I saw. I'm in love with her, like genuinely.
Genuinely. Making it the first time that both Alphaba and Glinda were played by people of color. There is an interesting what's on stage blog post that I found about basically what we've been saying, basically the whole episode about Wicked.
What's it called? Why the Green Girl is Never Black.
Yeah, it will be linked.
That's a pretty good title.
It's a good title, and it will have like a little heading. I do put work into our links, guys. Please check them out if you want to check something we said.
If you want to fact check us and
if you want to fact check us, I do make sure everything we say is factual unless I say it's otherwise.
Unless it's me having a vague memory of something.
And
like a premonition almost.
Yeah, you always have like visions.
I get these visions of things that have happened.
And then I'm like, no, that is correct.
I just explain them to Esme, and then she spends like 20 hours trying to source them.
Me with the newsies getting lost.
Which was true, by the way.
It was true.
I specifically remembered it, and it was true.
It was true.
They left a newsie behind.
They left a newsie behind. In September of this year, it would become the 11th longest running show in West End history.
Wow.
For 20 years, which has like just passed us literally last week. It was literally on Monday at 10:20, and we are recording this on Friday. Today is Friday.
Yeah.
It had a new playbill, which again, I think all the playbills are kind of ugly.
I think it's hard to do a good job with a playbill.
I liked the green and pink performance playbills. I would have liked them to be updated photos and not Adina and Kristen.
Yeah.
But they did brand partnerships because Wicked is a capitalist enterprise. Hill House home dress collection, 4 themed friendship bracelets, Oz-inspired moleskin journals, and an afternoon tea experience at the famous Plaza Hotel. For this, they would do 2-day. They would do 3 performance celebrations with across a matinee and evening performance on the 29th of October, and then like one on the 30th for the actual 20th anniversary. On the 26th of October, they did a Wicked themed block party held outside the Gershwin with photo ops from and music from DJ Mike Broski. Okay, there was a Broadway block club party. Where was Andrew Lloyd Raver?
Miss him every day. I feel like he's not a fan of Wicked, is my opinion.
He probably doesn't like Wicked because it's coming for his money. His money titles.
Did he put something out on the anniversary?
Probably not.
I'm gonna look.
With activations from the 20th anniversary partners, including Hershey's, Shake Shack, Catching Cream. Now, does Catching Cream ring a bell for you?
Does what?
Catch and Cream?
No.
You know the Cold Stone Creamery guy who was seen like in conversion therapy posts and so did a cake saying that he wasn't homophobic.
Oh my God.
He's the guy who runs that.
Oh my God.
Anyway, he was a proud sponsor of the Wicked block party.
Well, I mean,
sure.
Sure, fucking sure.
Fucking sure, man. Datix, were also sponsor, makes sense. The New York Parks Department.
Okay.
Broadway Cares, Audience Rewards, and Scenery Bags. Some of them are the normal suspects.
Yeah.
The fucking TikTok guy.
Some of them are weird.
There.
But then a part of me is also like, I mean, they invited a ton of like theatre influencers.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of makes sense.
And it was free.
Yeah.
The 29th performances were dubbed the Pink and Green performance, with exclusive playbills and gift back with merch, commemorative button, and a card signed by the 20th anniversary Glinda and Alphaba. there were photo ops with past Elphabas and Galindas who played the role, and champagne given out as people walked into the theatre.
Fun.
Anywhere that there's free booze, stamp of approval.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All I got from the Halloween Phantom was a mask.
Didn't you get a themed cocktail?
Yeah, but I had to buy that myself.
You got a free mask?
Yeah.
Slay.
Oh, I didn't tell you this. They took a picture of us. I'm on all the Phantom accounts.
Is that your proudest achievement to date?
Yep.
The Empire State Building was lit green because they need to get a life and a job and some business. Putting on your Phantom mask.
No, I was looking at the card they gave us with the mask.
Ah.
They also specifically noted it was Andrew Lloyd Webber's money that went into funding the masks. So can't be too angry about it.
Renee Rapp would sing For Good at her concert with Lizzie McAlpine. That's the one festivity I saw and went, oh, I'm sad I missed that.
Yeah.
Dang it, would have liked to been there. During this week of the show would make $2 million.
Jesus.
And that is the life and times of Wicked. We'll talk about it again when the movies come out.
I think it will continue on.
Wicked will come for Phantom's title as the longest running show on Broadway.
I think it might. I think, in all honesty, a lot of it does depend on the movie.
Yes.
Because if the movie is shit, why would people go and see the musical?
Yeah.
But if the movie's good, people will want to go see the musical as well.
I don't know. I can't see it lasting 30 years on the West End. But I also can't see a world in which Wicked closes. I
think it's one of those things. If it closes on either the West End or Broadway, it will reopen.
It'll be like what's gonna happen with Phantom.
Yeah.
I do believe that it will need to go away for a moment at some point soon.
Yeah.
And when I say soon, I mean the next 10 years.
I mean, I could see them trying to get to 30 and then stopping, like having their 30th performance be their final performance.
Yeah.
Closing and then, reviving in 5 or so years after that.
Yeah. But
I think, again, it relies on the movie, because if they have a movie that you can watch when you can't go and see the show, the problem with really long-running shows, and this is a subtle dig at Phantom as well.
How many subtle digs at Phantom can you get in this episode?
Too many. But it's that things do need to be updated, not just like within the show.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh hey, like I think a good example is the Phantom mask. I think it's a weird mask. I think there's a better way to do it. However, it's become so iconic that they really can't change it.
But even something like they closed Les Mis for a bit and like completely retoured it.
But that's the thing. I think it's not just a production thing. I think it's also a theatre thing.
Yeah.
Because again, so many theatres have fucking shit sound quality.
The Apollo Victoria that Wicked's in, shit. The mics were not working. People's mics need to be working if they're singing the Wicked score.
These big old theatres that then have shows that stay in them for like 20 years straight so that no work can be done on them. It creates a really bad experience.
And when I saw it, me and my friends spent the whole time talking about the bad mic quality rather than the very good performances that were happening.
Exactly. Like, I think this is the thing, again, sorry, Phantom. But I sat front row at Phantom. And it was incredible. Not just because it's incredible to be up that close to a very like intense performance. But because you can hear what is happening. Like, I've listened to every recording there is. I've tried to learn these lines so that I can, know what is happening. I sat at the front of that fucking theatre and I understood things that I've never understood before.
Yeah.
In the entire time I've listened to Phantom.
And boy, when Spotify Wrapped comes out,
you will see that I've listened to Phantom.
You will see.
But I think it's the thing, like that is the biggest problem with long running shows. Like, it's incredible to be able to say, yeah, this show's been running for 20 years straight. And it's still so well loved that we just got, what was it, like 2 billion in a
$2
week.
million in a week.
$2 million in a week. Like that's incredible.
That is genuinely achievement. But however,
how much of that money gives people who have to keep going back so they can try and hear what is being said?
how much of that money is because Stephanie J. Block also said around this time that she was asked about Wicked because it's just been everywhere.
Yeah.
That a lot of past Elphabas have had to have vocal surgery.
Yeah.
How much of that money are they seeing for compensation of fucking their voices up?
Exactly.
Very talented women here.
There's definitely a better, like with every show, there's a better way to do it. But they care more about being able to say that we're the longest running show on Broadway.
Mark Platt cares more about making batshits.
I don't even necessarily think it's entirely Mark Platt's
No, it's
fault.
not entirely his fault, but he is the lead producer.
Yeah.
The same way I get annoyed about the producing choices of like Les Mis, Miss Saigon,
Yeah.
Phantom, and director Karen McIntosh.
But I think the thing is, Wicked is an incredible show. Like it is so fun to go and see.
It
I've
is.
never actually seen it, so I am just making.
No, it is. It is genuinely a spectacle to go see, and I would recommend it to people. It's also an approachable show. It's a musical theatre show that gets people into theatre.
It's like how I felt about. I have a genuine problem. It's like how I felt about Phantom. Whereas I always knew that even if I wasn't gonna fall in love with it, which I did with Phantom, but even if I don't fall in love with it, I want to go see it.
It's one that people recognize. I was having a conversation with my friend today, and she got off the coach station because she went to go visit London, and she went. Her friend said, "I'm outside Wicked," and she doesn't know musicals, and she knew what that meant.
Yeah. It's like I told Esme, I don't care how much you hate Les Mis, you have to go and see Les Mis.
And then
she
went,
did.
And I loved it.
And she did love it. But even if she hadn't, I still think you would have walked out of that theatre and said, I'm glad I saw it.
I was saying weeks before I went to go see Les Mis, I was like, I just need to see it now. And I think it's one that everyone needs to see at least once. It is one of the biggest musicals of our time.
I think the film's going to be like, I know I said that a lot of its success is going to depend on the film, but I do genuinely think the film is going to be really good for it.
I think the film's going to generate a lot of buzz for it, and I reckon they will see an uptick in ticket sales. I'm so intrigued to see how this film's going to pan out because they have been talking about doing it for my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And I will be 20 by the time this film comes out.
I'm already 20.
The first film comes out. I will be 21 by the time these films are out. If they don't get postponed again.
Sorry, I am looking this up. Am I right in saying that in the film,
yeah,
Elphaba is played by
Cynthia Erivo? Yeah. I'm so excited for Cynthia Erivo's casting for many reasons.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be incredible.
She's gonna belt the hell out those songs, and it's gonna be amazing. I sound like I'm being sarcastic. I'm just tired.
Yeah. We're not gonna keep it in. We spent an hour in the middle of trying to record this, going through the Tony Awards.
I might actually save that for just because it's pretty funny.
It is. I was reading out who the presenters were for each year.
It's batshit. If you guys want some entertainment,
you should go and look at it.
But I think that's Wicked.
I think that's all we can say right now.
When the Wicked movie happens, we will go see it and we will have opinions.
Oh yeah.
Next week it is a different show. Legally Blonde. Back to a more Wicked's quite a teen show. One of the things that was highlighted is it's always been targeted at teen girls.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of the reasons for its longevity.
Yeah. Teen girls and Ben Platt.
Teen girls and Ben Platt, who famously said, "Hi, my name's Ben Platt. My dad's Mark Platt, the producer of Wicked."
It is crazy that I was gonna say us, but me especially managed to get through this entire recording without once mentioning Ben Platt's folder of Wicked bootlegs.
Oh yeah, Ben Platt was famous for having a folder of Wicked bootlegs. You mentioned it earlier on when I was talking about how I may or may not have Gatsby bootlegs on my phone. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Definitely don't.
All right.
Right.
That's all I've got left in me.
That's all
No
we've got
more
left
jokes.
in us. You know what? I always forget to say this, but we are on other social medias. They are allegedly linked. I can't get it to work on Spotify. And if you have strong opinions, please leave us a review. We'll find it hilarious.
Please follow us
Follow us
on everything,
on everything.
and only then will we read your complaints.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have any thoughts, comments, complaints, let us know.
Suggestions, that kind of stuff.
Suggestions. We will receive them. Will we take them on board? Depends.
Maybe, if they're good.
If they're funny, then yeah. Anyway, bye-bye.